Here's the situation. You're in LA and you decide to head over to the town that Bugsy built, Las Vegas. Now, something we always forget, Vegas isn't quite as close as we wish it was. So here's a way to turn that boring 4-hour drive through the desert into a fun, spooky tour of Eastern California and Western Nevada. This week I'll be heading out to Las Vegas, where I'm going to be helping out at a convention, and on the road we're going to stop at a couple of haunted places on the way. Connor's along for the trip, aided by our trusty navigator K9. We will try to see what there is to see between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Getting an early start, we logged the first 100 miles of the trip before pulling into the transportation hub of Barstowe. If you had to use one word to sum up Barstowe, it's trains. Even their McDonald's is made out of train cars. And that led us here. This rail station, built in 1911 by the Fred Harvey Company, is a hotspot in more ways than one. Of course, it's August and we're in the middle of the desert, so it's hot as but also, one of the phenomena reported here are hot spots and cold spots, with temperature swings as extreme as 70 degrees. Countless souls have traveled through this century-old train station, and dozens may still be represented here. But even more ominous and intriguing is that, for whatever reason, this site seems to attract shadow people. Now, when you consider shadow people to be interdimensional beings as opposed to our traditional theories on ghosts, I have a whole other video on this topic right here. I'll link to it again at the end. Whatever the case, it is very intriguing why this place is such a hot spot. The Harvey House now houses 2 museums, one on Route 66 and a train museum. But we don't have time for that today because we have many more sights to see. It wasn't long on the road before K9 spotted our next curiosity, an early man archaeological site. And yes, I'll stop with the Doctor Who references now. The dig site is just barely outside of Barstowe, but getting there is still an adventure. The terrain ranges from soft sand to river rocks. Add the nearly constant incline and the desert heat, and you get a journey that's impossible except for only the most rugged of 4-cylinder trucks like mine.
This is a little horror movie-esque.
This area once contained a 91 square mile lake that emptied 18,000 years ago. It is believed by researchers at this site that early tool-making man lived here some 50,000 years ago. Across America right now, there are debates between mainstream archaeologists and archaeologists that are finding evidence contrary to the status quo. This is one such site. If the findings here hold up, what we know about ancient man will be entirely rewritten. Just as exciting is that you get to be part of the excavation team. In the first full weekend of every month between October and May, they open up the dig site to the general public. There's camping space available, and for just $5 they'll even feed you too. More information is in the description below. Yes, I know a dig site isn't inherently spooky, so I'll make up for it now. Another 50 miles closer to Vegas and we hit Baker, California, and the remains of a hotel that is anything but royal. Every square inch of it looks like an absolute crime scene. What'd you find?
One of those boxes where kids put the shapes.
Oh, nice. Those kids are all dead now.
I'm sure they were brutally murdered by some horrible...
Yeah, they were playing with that yesterday. They're all dead now. I want to make the next 5 Saw movies here. It's kind of gorgeous in a lot of bizarre ways.
It is. I can see the plot of this movie now, some kind of like spirit. Oh my gosh, it's still got stuff in all of these. Huh.
Is it haunted? No. Is it creepy? More than yes. If you decide to check this place out, do it at your own risk and during daylight hours. We found a room containing a space heater and prayer candles that felt very lived in. I don't think this place is fully abandoned despite its appearance, and I really don't want to meet the people who call the Royal Hawaiian Motel their home. I'm about an hour 15 away from the saloon, so I hope that would be a good time for me to stop by. I'm going to swing by regardless if I hear from you or not. Hopefully you're there and hopefully it all works out. Just last night before hitting the road, I sent out a couple of emails to places I wanted to visit today, super short notice, and one got back to me, and that is the Pioneer Saloon in Goodsprings, Nevada. And we're in Baker, California right now, and it is 115 degrees It is 11 a.m. I'm wearing a long sleeve black shirt. Mercifully back in the air-conditioned truck, we headed out on the next leg. About an hour later, we crossed the state line and into one of the most haunted places in Nevada. So it seems like some of the pride of coming here is just knowing how to get here. Yeah. With all this. You always have to trust a map if it's printed on a thong. Like any good neighborhood bar, there is no pretense here. The locals and staff are friendly and happy to welcome you into their small town. However, things weren't always quite so laid back here, evidenced by these bullet holes through the tin walls. A coroner's report and a newspaper article is on the wall at the site where a poker cheat by the name of Paul Koski met his end. Some claim that it is Koski's ghost still visually seen at this location. Additionally, the ghost of a still unnamed male prospector is also seen here. The saloon is celebrating its 100th birthday this year. So much of the saloon and the general store next door are original, down to the cash register behind the bar itself, and even some of the furniture. Obviously, the site has seen a lot of local history, however, it also had a front row seat to a national tragedy. 33-year-old movie star Carole Lombard was flying home after headlining an event to sell war bonds for World War II. Goodsprings was as close to LA as she got before her plane crashed into the mountains behind the Pioneer Saloon. In total, 22 people died, including 15 servicemen, Lombard's mother, and Carole Lombard. Clark Gable, her husband of 3 years, rushed to the site. The bar is littered with cigar burns where Gable sat and drank, nervously awaiting word on the fate of his wife. The saloon has never let go of this sadness. An entire wall is dedicated to Lombard and Gable, even displaying some debris from the crash. Their names and memories echo throughout the site, including on a gate that faces Carole's death site. In many ways, the saloon feels like a memorial to their romance. Gable temporarily quit acting to enlist in the Army's Air Force Division. He and Lombard were reunited in death in 1960. They are buried alongside each other in Glendale, California. Additional paranormal events here are connected to the crash. Are the sightings of Lombard or the sounds of crying actually coming from Lombard herself? Or is this an observable remnant of Gable's sorrow that current visitors witness? I'm here in Goodsprings where everything is the temperature of the sun, including that bar. And here's Goodsprings Cemetery. Most of this town has actually gotten a lot of notoriety recently because it's apparently a major location in Fallout, New Vegas. There's a lot of locations that are here. There's been a little chat online about this place being haunted, but I haven't found anything very compelling. Still, I'm here. We're just down the road from the Pioneer Saloon. As usual, I have my EMF detector on me. It's pretty much impossible to use at the saloon because, well, it's going off constantly. Jeez. And part of that may have had something to do with the fact that it had tin walls, the building did, which is part of the reason it's still standing in general. A lot of wildfires have gone through, taken down almost the entire surrounding town, but this still stands, or the saloon still stood. Largely because it's made of metal. Maybe the place being made out of metal and retaining all of that electrical energy does help spirits manifest there. So maybe the design itself has helped, is conducive to spirits appearing. At this point, Vegas is just about a half hour away and we had plenty to think about for the last portion of the drive. Getting to Vegas, we worked the annual Star Trek creation event, a crazy experience that even a non-sci-fi nerd would enjoy. Before we go, allow us to give you one more treat. We'd like to introduce you to Jeff Mudgett. Who is Jeff Mudgett? The author of the book Bloodstains. His story is amazing and true. Let me try to give it to you in quick, broad strokes. Jeff finds out that he's related to America's first and most prolific serial killer, H.H. Holmes. This is the guy the book Devil in the White City is based on. Holmes likely killed hundreds of people in Chicago in the 1890s, but the real number will never be known. Jeff ends up finding H.H. Holmes' personal notes, which no one ever knew existed. Through the journals, we learned for the first time that Holmes was not executed for his crimes, that he had someone take his place while Holmes escaped. While researching, Jeff starts getting messages from Holmes himself. These messages from the other side end up being factual. Oh, and this guy might actually be Jack the Ripper, but that's only a footnote in this amazing story. I definitely can't post the whole interview here. I'll just show you guys a little clip, and I'll post a more extended version next week. In this clip, Jeff talks about going to revisit the site of Holmes' crime. The site now houses a post office, but the underground dungeon is still intact.
We opened the door up, broke the paint off around the edges, and there's 2 flights of stairs down. As I explain in the book, when I walked down those 2 flights of stairs, I didn't believe in the paranormal. I don't know if I believe in the word paranormal even now. I didn't believe in supernatural, spiritual. I didn't even really believe in God, to tell you the truth. When I came back up, an hour later, I believed in all of them. I mean, there is an energy form down there, which, after I felt it, I did some research, and I tend to believe the theories of Einstein about how when we die, energy just doesn't disappear. It's here, it's like water. Water does not disappear on our planet no matter what we do to it here. I think energy is the same. I think Einstein was right. I think we just haven't figured that out yet. When we die, what happens to it? And we will. It's going to happen. It might be 100 years, it might be 200 years, I don't know. There is an energy down in that basement from the hundreds of people that suffered the most terrible deaths you can imagine at the hands of this sadistic, evil man who lived to research the extremes of the human condition, and that involved pain. When we were down in the basement, I either had, my neurologist believed I had a seizure down below. That's the energy and the weight that I felt. Kim felt something too, not as severe as what I felt, but he felt something down there too. I tend to believe there is a thing down there, or a group of things, that has been locked in by this concrete post office built over the site where these people perished, and there is an energy, which Harper's Magazine wrote about once, saying that if ever the paranormal was going to be proven, it would be at 63rd and Wallace in that basement. They said it was the place that God allowed evil to run amok, and that quote's always hung in my head after research. So, but when the History Channel took me back down inside, the post office let us go back down for their show. We had 2 film crews, sound crews, the whole thing. I didn't feel anything. There was not the energy I felt that first time. Now, why that is, I'll let the experts in the paranormal world tell me why. There was nothing there the second time.
We'll have much more with Jeff next week. Until then, check out my other videos, and if you want a ghost tour of LA and Hollywood, visit lahauntings.com. Thanks for watching.